She was a sweetheart. To know her is to love her.
We thank God for her memories. Huh? We thank God for her life.
Just in life, an all-around genuine sweet soul.
Nobody knows, but God knows.
Remembering 19-year-old Paige Torregano, a loving daughter, hard worker, her mother, Kimberly Gentry, is still processing.
It's like my heart literally was ripped out of my chest.
This is too much to take.
And for our elected officials trying their best to be the change in their communities, more needs to be done, or else.
It's at everybody's doorstep. We need to come together. The political fighting, the hate on social media. We are our brothers and sisters' keepers. I will not let them make me abandon hope.
"19-year-old Paige Torregano was a sweet, talented, and hardworking young woman with a bright future ahead of her. In the words of her mother, to know her was to love her. She worked at a Brothers store, often picking up extra overnight shifts, and had a successful hair business on the side. On the afternoon of September 20th, Paige was running a few errands with a friend, depositing a check and getting her tire changed. She was sitting in a vehicle with her friend, waiting for her car to be serviced, when out of nowhere, the unthinkable happened. Around 3:20 p.m., the New Orleans Police Department responded to the 7100 block of Chef Mentor Highway in East New Orleans for reports of gunfire. Upon arrival, they would find 2 young women suffering from gunshot wounds.
2 women shot in broad daylight Tuesday afternoon at a tire shop along Chef Mentor Highway.
And they opened up on the car with semi-automatic weapons. The young woman who was in the car with her was killed.
This comes the same week New Orleans was declared murder capital of the United States, having more murders per capita than some of the biggest cities like St. Louis and Atlanta.
The criminals seem to think it's their city, that they can do what they want anytime, anywhere, to anybody.
Just hours later, another person shot at yet another tire shop, this one on North Claiborne in Tremay.
The 2 victims were identified as the niece of Councilman Oliver Thomas, who was shot in the head and face and listed in critical condition. The other victim was identified as 19-year-old Paige Torregano, who was sadly pronounced dead at the scene. According to Councilman Oliver Thomas, this was a targeted hit, conducted in broad daylight with the use of a semi-automatic weapon.
Now, Oliver says that the car that his niece was driving in belonged to her boyfriend, believed to be the intended target.
One of the first things we have to do is get the people off the street that are targeting us. Period. Period.
As chairman of the Criminal Justice Committee, Councilman Oliver Thomas has been outspoken against the crime in the city, and now it's touched his family.
Babysat, stayed at my house, watched her grow. The last words to her was stay safe. From everything we know and we've heard, it was targeted, it was a hit. It wasn't her car, but they still targeted her. It's a good thing the kid wasn't with her, because it probably would have been in the car with her. This isn't the first young woman in the last year or so who's been shot in the boyfriend or a family member's car. The criminal element in this town thinks they own it right now. So we got to be careful every step of the way, planning our day. All they have to do is say, we're going to get together and go kill somebody, carjack somebody, rob somebody, shoot somebody with no thought. But we have to think and plan out our day. They have more liberty and freedoms than we do. That's crazy. Have we gotten to the point in society where law-abiding citizens have no say? Our liberties are secondary? We got people saying, oh, he's only killed 2 people, so maybe he won't shoot the 3rd one. Everybody on the street that wants to rob us, carjack us, shoot us, and kill us needs to be put somewhere where they're not hurting us. Everybody. Period. And we can help them where they are. If we can't create an energy in this town that says New Orleans matters, that we're worth it, then why are we surprised?
Family, friends, co-workers, teachers gathered in Joe Brown Park to honor the life of 19-year-old Paige Torregano. Emotions were high, and green and white balloons lined the sky as the community came together in prayer. Her mother, who received the phone call while at work, said she thought she would grow old with her children and that they would bury her first. In response to her daughter's death, she plans to create Paige's Law, pushing for legislation that will ban full face masks. She wants to prevent another family from the pain of losing a child. According to the NOPD, they are currently unable to identify the 4 men involved in the shooting because they were all wearing full face masks at the time.
When I saw her leave work that morning at 9 a.m., this isn't somebody I thought wasn't going to come back that night at 9 p.m.
19-year-old Paige Torregano's life was cut short on September 20th.
I'm never going to be able to see my child have a child. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
With heavy hearts, family members and friends gathered to remember the young life gone too soon.
Remembering 19-year-old Paige Torregano, a loving daughter, hard worker. Her mother, Kimberly Gentry, is still processing.
It's like my heart literally was ripped out of my chest. I was at work and I got the call, but when I got there, no one ever told me she passed. They told me she was at the hospital, but she still was inside of the car.
Torregano was killed on Tuesday afternoon, gunned down, outside of a Plum Orchard tire shop off Chef Mentor Highway. 4 men fired more than 50 rounds into the sedan she was sitting in with her friend, the niece of City Councilman Oliver Thomas, who's still hospitalized with critical injuries.
I was at work and I got the call, but when I got there, no one ever told me she passed. They told me she was at the hospital, but she still was inside of the car when I got there.
Her mother describes Paige as a devoted worker. She pulled the overnight shifts and did hair on the side.
Something needs to be done. Something needs to be done. It's horrible. Like, mothers are losing their kids. It's bad. You can't even drive in your car.
I just sat there in disbelief, and I was actually on the phone on a conference call, and I just kept saying, not Paige, this can't be Paige, this can't be Paige.
Gina Allen was Paige's manager and a longtime family friend.
Well, hearing this happening to Paige and the way it happened, it's like, who's going to help us? Who's here to help us?
Allen says it was the nature of the killings that disturbed her the most. In broad daylight, with onlookers, she questions whether the city is lost.
So the way that this happened was some stuff you hear about happening in Mexico with a cartel. Not in broad daylight in a populated metropolitan city in the United States with police and police cameras and people out and about.
I'm never going to be able to see my child get married. I'm never going to be able to see my child have a child.
Another young life lost to gun violence.
Gentry plans to push for legislation that will ban full-face masks. She wants to prevent another family from the pain of losing a child.
You cannot wear a full-face mask. It's 90 degrees. What you need a full-face mask on for? Paige's Law. Her legacy will live on. She will not be forgotten. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
The NOPD says they're still searching for 4 unknown male suspects whose faces couldn't be identified. In the meantime, Paige's mother says she will continue to wait for answers on her daughter's killer. Councilman Oliver Thomas's niece remains in critical condition, where she is currently fighting for her life. Anyone with information regarding the shooting is encouraged to come forward.
Talk to the children. Talk to them. Stop telling them what they cannot do. Tell them what they can do. Because we are in this together. We all get you. It takes a what? Hello? I said it takes a what? A village. It takes a village. And who are the village? People. It's not the bricks. It's not the mortar. It's us. We are the people. Talk to them. There's nothing wrong with weeping. Cry. Let it out. Hallelujah. Let it out. Let it flow. Let it flow. Let it flow. We have to take our bearings and take it to him. Take it to him. You can't go wrong. Stop telling my boys what they